Hi everyone, my name is Camelia, and in today's video, I would like to share with you a learning setting that I designed as a final project from an online course that I'm currently taking in EdX. This online course is from Harvard University, and we're talking about leaders of learning. So before sharing with you the design, I would like to give you more context by sharing with you my modes of learning. So in the beginning of the course, all learners, including myself, had to take MOLA or MOLA, which is short for Modes of Learning Assessment. For this assessment, I scored 53%, so pretty high, at Hierarchical Collective quadrant. And learning in this quadrant, Hierarchical Collective, has clear measurements for success based on communal values and goals defined by the Hierarchical Collective organization. Given that my theory of learning is hierarchical collective, I think learning comes from working respectfully and collaboratively with others, but also with the presence of an adult. So in school, that will be kids and then having a teacher sitting down with them together in the process of learning, but in business settings for managers or mentors to guide us and help us master on first how to work well in groups and second to achieve the most optimal outcome. I think people learn best when given the chance to learn the theory or concepts on whatever topic that they're learning, let's say by reading a book or from attending a lecture, but also an opportunity to share what they have learned with fellow learners and also brainstorm on how to apply it in real life. So focusing on real life application as well. And while learning, me as a teacher could guide them so that they could stay on track. So let me share with you the learning setting. For this design challenge, I would like to design a psychology class. So imagine all of us here is in a psychology class. My audience is university students, and the topic for this class is self-development or personal growth. The purpose of this class is for my students to create their own plans for the next 2 years and understand how people grow differently. And the first task I will give my students is to form a group of 4 and pick a book that is relevant to the topic and summarize them. And again, the topic is personal growth. They will also need to pick a story from the book that they resonate with and something that they could relate to a theory or a concept they have learned previously in other classes. Then I want my students to share the summary of the book they have read to the class and sit down in a circle. So that is an introduction of a learning setting that I designed, and I'm going to talk about the physical setting here as well. So in the physical setting, for this class, I want to limit to 20 people, so not too large of an audience. And because I asked them to form a group of 4, we will have 5 groups in total. And the class will be conducted in a medium-sized room. I don't need anything too big, but definitely not too small. A carpet, a comfortable one, hopefully, where everyone can sit down in circle. And in terms of the timing, I actually want this class to happen not very early in the morning, and instead later in the afternoon, where people are a little bit tired. And this is definitely because research found that people are a lot more open, honest, receptive to feedback, and vulnerable when they're a little bit tired. So yeah, I want my students to learn to be able to be vulnerable, reflect, and be at the right mindset. After the physical setting, I would like to share with you the cognitive and social setting as well. So in this class, in this psychology class, my students will take turns in sharing the summary and key learnings they took from the book they have read. Other students will listen. They will again sit in circle and share their personal experience that they resonate with, and perhaps any challenges or small wins that is relevant to the topic that we're currently discussing. Other than that, I would also would like to walk you through the culture and emotional part. Because my design is on Hierarchical Collective, I will be there throughout the whole session as a lecturer or as a professor, the whole session to jump in if I find any interesting ideas, share my personal experience, and most importantly, to guide the discussion so that we are on track. It is important for the students to actually learn something from the class instead of having just a normal sharing session and without no outcome at all. In the end of the class, we will also have a final exam. So in the end of the course, we'll have a final exam. So this will be a traditional exam setting where students will have to answer questions. They have to sit apart and it will be graded. But on top of that, I will also have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with my student to discuss about what they have learned so far throughout the course and what's their plan when they become a psychologist and open their own clinic. So then I want to understand how great they are in the concepts and theories that they have learned and check their understanding. But I also want to know their plans when they're opening a clinic as a psychologist, just to make sure that they understand that they're learning this for something. So I've walked you through my introduction, the learning setting that I designed, physical setting, cognitive and social, as well as emotional and cultural setting of it as well. And before I wrap up this video, I would like to summarize that my goal is for my students to understand the concept, theory, terms, scientific research, anything whatsoever that was taught throughout the course, but also for my students to understand how to apply it in real life and what they can actually learn to become a successful psychologist in the future. To understand this, it is important for them to try using the theory or concepts to learn that in real life. And then for this topic is for personal growth, so they could actually learn from the books that they have read or from feedbacks or sharing experience from the fellow learners about what they can learn and how to apply it in real life. So then when they become a psychologist in the future, they won't always rely on what they have learned in the class or what they have read in a book, but also from their personal experience. I think that's very powerful. And so again, because my learning setting is about Hierarchical Collective, or leaning towards the Hierarchical Collective quadrant, I want to highlight that people won't have to always learn just by listening to a teacher and sitting down in a class, but they can actually share their experiences, their learning as well with fellow learners, and then get new perspectives, and then they'll be able to become a critical thinker, independent thinker, and also a creative thinker. So that will be all for today's video, and thank you for watching.